ordered National Guard troops patrolling D.C. streets to carry firearms. There are nearly 2,000 of them from 6 states. California's governor signs a package, and if voters approve it, the state's new congressional map would give Democrats an even stronger edge.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Happy Friday, everyone. Washington, D.C. will be welcoming soccer fans later this year. President Trump makes a major announcement with the FIFA president from the White House.
On December 5th of this year, the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw will take place at the Kennedy Center. Some people refer to it as the Trump Kennedy Center, but we're not prepared to do that quite yet, maybe in a week or so. But right here in Washington, D.C., it's a tremendous honor to bring the global event and this incredible group of people and these unbelievable athletes, the best athletes in the world, to the cultural center of our nation's capital.
The final draw will be broadcast at 12 noon Eastern Time on December 5th. 48 teams will play in 104 games in 16 cities across North America next year. FIFA expects 6 million fans to attend in person and 6 billion more to watch back home. The president says the soccer event will drive more than $30 billion into the U.S. economy and create 185,000 American jobs in a short period of time. The president is also excited about the revenue generated from his tariffs and how the stock market is doing.
I was very happy that today, as you saw, the group that does this, a government group, radical left group, announced that Trump was right, took in $4 trillion worth of tariffs, that the $4 trillion are going to reduce the deficit by numbers far greater than they ever expected or heard of. And by the way, the stock market went up 1,000 points. That was as of 10 minutes ago. I can't tell you what happened. A lot of things happened. But the stock market's up almost 1,000 points.
And earlier, President Trump visited an immersive museum in D.C. today about the White House. It's called the People's House. While there, he answered questions about public safety in D.C. and his renovation plans for the Kennedy Center. Here's Trump.
D.C. was a hellhole, and now it's safe. And in fact, I put out this morning, I said, I hate to say this because it doesn't sound very good, but there have been no murders in D.C. in the last week. That's the first time in anybody's memory that you haven't had a murder in a week.
Trump says his ambition is to take all career criminals off the streets by the time the operation is complete. He says D.C., as well as big cities like Chicago, should have asked for help. He says he's also certain that the district falsified crime statistics and says it's now under investigation. Mayor Muriel Bowser says D.C. police will cooperate with the investigation and says crime indeed has gone down over the past 2 years.
We can keep it going good. We're going to watch the security concerns, and we have buyers, American buyers. We have American buyers. And I haven't spoken to President Xi about it. At the right time when we're set, I'll do it. In the meantime, until the complexity of things work out, we just extend a little bit longer.
Trump made a comment on TikTok. He said he has American buyers lined up for the app, adding that he could further extend the deadline for China-based ByteDance to divest TikTok's U.S. assets. And Trump provided more details on his plan to renovate the Kennedy Center. He says the columns will be painted white, the marble will be renovated inside and out, and there will be 24-karat gold instead of fake gold. Inside the auditorium, the chairs and the stages will all be renovated entirely.
This one, the Kennedy Center has phenomenal sound. It's one of the big advantages. So we're going to make that fantastic. We have a great board of close to 40 people, and they're in love with it. And we'll have that, I think, within a year, the Kennedy Center will be finished.
Escalation in President Trump's crime and homeless crackdown in Washington, D.C. The Pentagon says that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered National Guard troops patrolling the streets of Washington to carry firearms. The Defense Department did not share additional details on the development. Nearly 2,000 National Guard members have been stationed in the Capitol since President Trump declared a public safety emergency in D.C. and activated the troops. The soldiers have mostly been protecting landmarks, including the National Mall. They have not taken part in law enforcement. President Trump and cabinet officials have boasted that D.C. is now safer. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney announced today that the country is dropping retaliatory tariffs to match U.S. tariff exemptions. This is for goods covered under the United States-Mexico-Canada Trade Pact. The move is designed to reset trade talks between the two countries. Here's Carney at a press conference just now.
Consistent with Canada's commitment to CUSMA, I'm announcing today that the Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on U.S. goods specifically covered under CUSMA. Canada currently has the best trade deal with the United States. And while it's different from what we had before, it is still better than that of any other country.
The tariff removal kicks in on September 1st. Carney says the U.S. recently confirmed it won't slap tariffs on Canadian goods under the USMCA, which he called a positive step. For now, Canadian tariffs on U.S. autos, steel, and aluminum will stay in place. Canada's been negotiating with the U.S. for months on a new economic and security deal, but they're still far from an agreement. Carney had a call with Donald Trump on Thursday. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is signaling he's open to cutting interest rates. Here's part of his speech today at the Fed's annual event in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Our policy rate is now 100 basis points closer to neutral than it was a year ago. And the stability of the unemployment rate and other labor market measures allows us to proceed carefully as we consider changes to our policy stance. Nonetheless, with policy in restrictive territory, the baseline outlook and the shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting our policy stance.
Powell acknowledges growing risks to the job market whilst also saying risks of higher inflation remain. Powell's comments opened the door to a rate cut at the Fed's meeting in September, but they will still have to consider jobs and inflation reports in the coming weeks. The Fed has kept its benchmark interest rate steady at 4.25% to 4.5% since December. The stock market surged in response to Powell's comments today. The address is Powell's final one as chair, with his term ending in May. The administration is searching for a replacement. And joining us now to give us analysis on the Federal Reserve Chair's speech at Wyoming, Jackson Hole, is Daniel Lacalle. He's the chief economist at Tresses and author of the book Freedom or Equality. Good afternoon, Daniel. It's always great to see you. So start off, tell us what stood out from his speech to you.
Hi, Don. I think that what stood out for every investor was that Jerome Powell backed away from the message of risks of inflation to concentrate on the labor market, and also that he was a lot less aggressive relative to the estimates of inflation, considering that we have now 7 months of data that they have been ignoring. And obviously, what markets immediately understood is that the Fed is basically going back on its messages and getting closer to what markets have been saying all along, with both the figures that have been published and what inflation expectations are posting everywhere in different consensus estimates. So, in general, a message that tried to be, let's say, tried to justify a little bit their previous stance, and at the same time recognize that they have been wrong and that they will cut rates in September.
Okay, building off of what you said, Daniel, here's a quote from a Powell speech. He says, the baseline outlook and the shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting our policy stance. So can you explain that to us? What does it mean in simple terms, in practical terms?
In simple terms, it means that they're backing down from where they were. But ultimately, what they're basically saying is the following. The jobs market has been slowing down for a while. The Fed's own beige book in June showed that all of the Federal Reserves were talking about a slowdown in the jobs market. There is still strong job creation, but the risks of maintaining high rates can pose a significant impact on job creation, particularly for small and medium enterprises. Therefore, what he is basically saying is that instead of thinking way too hard about inflationary pressures that are nowhere to be found, they are concentrating on the jobs market.
Okay, so here's a question. The Fed is looking at their dual mandate, right? Do you think it is putting more emphasis right now on stable prices or supporting the labor market?
I think that the Fed right now is basically torn between their models that continue to show that they are incorrect in terms of inflation and the reality of what they have been publishing themselves, which is that the labor market was weakening due to very high rates. Therefore, I think that right now they need to be more focused on the labor market because they don't need to be focused on inflationary pressures, because in the latest PPI figures, we saw that the only real inflationary pressure came from the portfolio management and from the stock exchange part, which had nothing to do with tariffs and the narrative that the Fed has been following about inflation rising due to tariffs.
So you alluded to that perhaps the Federal Reserve is shifting its monetary policy stance. So how likely are we to see a rate cut in September in its next meeting?
Well, consensus estimates assume that there's a 97% estimate that the Fed will cut rates by at least 25 basis points. And that there will be another rate cut in December. I think that they should be more aggressive. I think that if you look at the reality of where interest rates should be right now relative to the neutral level, they should cut by around 100 basis points. But what the market is basically discounting is a 25 basis points cut in September and another one in December.
So speaking of markets, what do you make of the response today, the Dow going up more than 900 points?
Well, I think it's also the answer to a relatively cautious stance from markets in the last couple of days, 3-4 days. There was a lot of nervousness in markets. Many market participants were taking profits and cautious about buying because they didn't know what the Fed was going to do. And obviously, the concerns about a much weaker labor market if the Fed did not announce a rate cut certainly created at least uncertainty among most market participants. Therefore, this morning, when the markets opened quite subdued, and then suddenly we had the realization that the Fed finally was moving to reality instead of looking at their models, then markets rapidly saw significant buying pressure. There was quite a few brokers that were saying that it was a good opportunity in the dip that we saw in the past 4 or 5 days to purchase stocks, particularly in the technology sector, and it's obviously been the one that's been most positively impacted by the expectation of an imminent rate cut.
All right, Daniel, in the time we have left, I also had a few questions for you on the US-EU trade deal. More details are coming out on this front. How significant is this agreement from a historical perspective for both the United States and the European Union?
Well, after this agreement, the level of free trade between the EU and the United States has improved. It's very positive for the automotive sector. It is certainly very positive for small and medium companies in the United States that want to export to the European Union. And it's very positive because it starts to address the enormous problem of non-tariff barriers. So in all senses, it's a huge victory for Trump, but it's also quite positive for the European Union and trying to abandon its stagnation policies.
If you could go into the specifics, Daniel, about the benefits that are expected from this trade deal with the US and EU.
Well, specifics, very simple. For the automotive sector is a huge benefit, massively reducing tariffs. For everything that has to do with aerospace, with strategic sector, very, very positive for the European Union and also for the United States. For the energy and for the technology sector, big investments in artificial intelligence, enormous investments in U.S. energy, and also a very significant commitment to purchase military equipment from the United States. All in all, if we put it all together, I would say that the automotive sector, agriculture, farming, and automotive added to the military and defense sector and the technology sector are the most benefited, but also small and medium enterprises that will not suffer the enormous regulatory burdens that the EU wanted to impose on them.
Okay, finally, Daniel, taking a step back here, talk to us about the relationship between the U.S. and EU. Are strong economic ties needed for strong cooperation overall, and does trade serve as sort of the glue that keeps the U.S. and Europe united? Your thoughts on this?
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of people were fantasizing about the idea of the EU getting together with China and abandoning the United States, even getting closer to the BRICS nations. It made no sense. This is a great deal that strengthens the ties between the United States and the European Union and creates a gigantic and very rich market of more than $5 trillion that is going to be added to the economy, and certainly is a very good deal for the European Union because it addresses the barriers that were not only hurting US companies, but also hurting European companies, as Mario Draghi, the ex-president of the ECB, put in his report. So all in all, I think it's a great milestone, a historic event that strengthens the ties between the United States and the EU for a very long period of time, and therefore strengthens as well its strategic alliance in energy, in technology, and in defense.
Yep, that's right. And President Trump also saying perhaps this is the biggest deal ever between the two parties. Well, Daniel, thank you very much. It's always great to talk to you. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the weekend.
Same to you. Have a great night.
Coming up, California's governor signs a package, and if voters approve it, the state's new congressional map would give Democrats an even stronger edge. Stay tuned.
I was a young dad of 3 amazing kids. I was finally following my dream. Just when you feel like life is starting to come together, you get kind of hit in the face. I was born with a congenital heart defect and had open heart surgery as a kid. I was supposed to go to the heart doctor once a year, and I finally went. He listened to my heart, and I'll never forget, he sat back and he said, yeah, it's time for open heart surgery, or you risk your aorta rupturing, and that's it. I was scared out of my mind. The night before my open heart surgery, I made a goodbye video for my kids. Be strong. Take care of your mom. I love you guys.
Seeing, all the kids hug him goodbye and hoping that they were going to be able to hug him again.
I love you. But I did make it, thanks to the work of the American Heart Association. So that's why I'm asking you to join me. Please call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help get the next person trained in CPR, get the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care, as well as fund the next medical breakthrough like these heart valves that helped save my life. When you give $19 a month with your credit card, we'll send you this special t-shirt to show you're a part of our community of monthly donors.
I'm most grateful that I get to have a husband that I get to grow old with, and a husband that gets to be there for his children.
I believe without the American Heart Association, I would not be here today. If this can happen to me, it can happen to you, it can happen to anybody. Your donation can literally help save a life. Please call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org now to become a monthly donor.
£6 prescription glasses from SelectSpecs are always great value. There are no offer codes or first-time customers only. Anyone can buy them, anytime. And you can upgrade to SelectSpecs Express for next-day delivery. And with deferred payments, you can spread the cost.
See now, pay later with SelectSpecs £6 specs. Next day delivery and deferred payment options available at selectspecs.com/£6.
Shen Yun Creations, the streaming platform from Shen Yun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
An update on the ongoing redistricting battle. California's governor signs a package, and if voters approve it, the state's new congressional map will work in Democrats' favor. This is aimed at countering a new congressional map in Texas. NTD's Melina Weisskopf has the story.
California's governor signed a package of bills Thursday. The state's plan to redraw congressional lines would endanger 5 sitting House Republicans, favoring Democrats in the 2026 midterms.
We're all playing by the same set of rules. There's no question that the Republican Party will be the minority party in the House of Representatives next year.
The new plan will allow for a special election this November. California voters will either approve or disapprove the new map. It's the first state to take action in response to Texas's redistricting efforts. The Texas map would endanger 5 sitting House Democrats. Some have sounded the alarm that the ripple effect could have lasting consequences.
Ohio has to do it because it's in their law that they have to go back and draw right now. But you could see Missouri do it. You could see Indiana do it. And what will happen here is Republicans will have an advantage in doing this, and they'll change. But we will be such a divided nation long term.
The White House is expecting other states to follow Texas, like Ohio, Missouri, Florida, Indiana, and South Carolina, to add more GOP-favored districts, while Republicans are looking to blue states like Illinois, Maryland, and New York. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
Texas senators have gathered this afternoon. They are expected to approve a new congressional district map. It's drawn the ire of Democrats who say it violates the Voting Rights Act. Ahead of the vote, the Senate chairman of Texas Congressional Redistricting Committee pushed back on these claims.
First goal was for the map, which is now HB 4 that's before us, for the map to be legal in all respects. That was the first goal. And the second one was that it would perform better for Republican.
The DOJ under the Trump administration told Texas to redraw lines because it said the state had several so-called coalition districts, which are unconstitutional. Democrats claimed the Trump administration is targeting the state to manufacture a path to victory for congressional Republicans for the 2026 midterm elections. The party is fighting the maps in court. If their court challenge fails, Lloyd Doggett, a Democrat representing Texas in the U.S. House, says he won't run for a re-election. The state Senate is expected to approve the map, and the governor will sign it shortly afterward. A federal judge has ordered Florida's so-called alligator Alcatraz to scale back operations. Judge Kathleen Williams yesterday barred the site from taking in new detainees and halted further construction. The injunction followed a lawsuit from environmental groups and the Miccosukee tribe, which said the project endangered the Everglades. Williams ordered authorities to remove generators, lighting, fencing, and other equipment within 60 days. Conditions inside the camp have drawn criticism, with reports of detainees confined in cages, extreme heat, and poor sanitation. The Department of Homeland Security responded saying the facility meets federal detention standards. In a memo last week, it called allegations of inhumane conditions false and described them as media hoaxes. The state of Florida immediately appealed the ruling, while Governor Ron DeSantis' office insisted deportations will continue. The Trump administration is expanding its visa review. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced a sweeping check on more than 55 million holders and a halt on work visas for commercial truck drivers. Here are the details.
The State Department says it is reviewing the records of all U.S. visa holders. It's part of what it calls continuous vetting for signs of ineligibility. This includes visa overstays, criminal activity, or support for terrorism. The department says since President Trump returned to office, visa revocations have more than doubled. Student visa cancellations are up nearly fourfold. The administration says new visa reviews will include social media checks and law enforcement records in their home countries, as well as the U.S. The State Department says about 55 million visa holders are subject to the review. Exceptions include short-term visitors from countries in the visa waiver program, like most of Europe and parts of Asia. On Thursday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced an immediate pause on worker visas for commercial truck drivers. Rubio says foreign truck drivers are undercutting American workers and endangering lives. The move comes days after a fatal crash in Florida involving Harjinder Singh, an Indian national who officials say does not speak English and entered the U.S. illegally.
He's already been charged with vehicular homicide at a minimum. He's looking to spend several decades behind bars, and we hope this will be a lesson to other illegal aliens like him. Your licenses are not valid in this state. We will punish you to the fullest.
Whitmire said on Fox that Singh showed no remorse after the crash that left 3 people dead. Governor Ron DeSantis told Fox News the incident shows how sanctuary state policies are creating a ripple effect across the country.
This is an example of those sanctuary policies spilling over into the rest of the country, and in this case, the free state of Florida. And yes, there were 3 people killed by a guy who should have never been in our country.
But DeSantis said Florida's response has been robust and praised President Trump's leadership at the federal level.
The Supreme Court has handed President Trump a temporary win in his fight against federal DEI funding. The justices ruled yesterday to let the administration block nearly $800 million in research grants that officials say involve race and gender issues. The decision divided the court with a narrow 5-4 ruling. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote a short opinion criticizing lower court judges. He said they failed to follow an earlier Supreme Court order that allowed the Trump administration to cancel education grants. The court stopped short of blocking a lower court ruling on the matter, leaving room for researchers to pursue the grant money in a different court. Hurricane Erin brought strong winds and waves to Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. Dangerous rip currents stretched from the Carolinas to New England as the storm moved further out to the sea. Here's more on the latest on the hurricane.
Hurricane Erin was forecast to cause possible coastal flooding into the weekend along the East Coast, but was also expected to lose strength gradually. The National Hurricane Center in Miami reported early today that Erin had weakened to a Category 1 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 90 miles per hour. This morning, the storm was located about 490 miles south-southwest of Halifax, Nova Scotia. Hurricane Erin breached 2 dunes along the only road in and out of much of North Carolina's Outer Banks. Water was hubcap deep on some parts of NC-12, the 2-lane highway that connects Hatteras Island with the rest of the state.
At this point, we have 2 dune breaches along NC-12, one just north of Hatteras Village and one at the north end of Ocracoke Island. At those places, there is a lot of water and a lot of sand covering the road. Because there's water and sand covering the road, I've not been able to check and see if there's any pavement damage yet, but we are hopeful that there is none, and that once we clear it, we'll be able to reopen the roads.
A tropical storm warning remains active in Bermuda, where residents and tourists were told to stay out of the water through today. But warnings along the coast of North Carolina and Virginia were discontinued. Hurricane Erin stayed about 200 miles off the North Carolina coast, but the storm still sent heavy waves crashing against the fragile barrier islands. A roadblock was set up at the base of the Mark Bass Knight Bridge just south of Nags Head. The National Hurricane Center in Miami said that communities along the mid-Atlantic and southern New England coast could see tropical storm force winds gust through this morning. The National Weather Service has issued coastal flood warnings for places such as New York and New Jersey. Beaches were off limits for swimming on Wednesday and Thursday in New York City, and they'll stay that way today. Streets in Atlantic City, New Jersey flooded on Thursday as strong waves hit the area. A video shows 2 U.S. Coast Guard boats toughing through the waves on Thursday in Delaware's Indian River Inlet. The National Weather Service issued several advisories for Delaware beaches through today, including a high surf advisory, a wind advisory, and a coast flood warning. Hurricane Erin has fluctuated in intensity since forming nearly a week ago, but remained unusually large, stretching across more than 600 miles.
Meat producer Sabrositos Hondureños is recalling roughly 32,000 pounds of meat. The Department of Agriculture says the meat producers have false USDA marks of inspection. The agency warns consumers that any meat product with the false establishment number EST 1785 should be considered misbranded and not safe to eat. The recall covers various meat products from the New Jersey company, including chorizo sausage, pork chops, and ribs. They were produced before August 20th and shipped nationwide. There are no confirmed reports of adverse reactions due to the consuming of the recalled meat. Uninspected food products may contain undeclared allergens, harmful bacteria, or other contaminants that present health and safety risks. Officials warn consumers not to eat or serve the recalled meat. It should be thrown away or returned. Coming up, the Kremlin says no meeting is planned between the presidents of Russia and Ukraine. How President Trump responds amid ongoing peace efforts by the U.S. Stay tuned.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around. And I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanting to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Trump with a big announcement for D.C. ahead of the America's 250th anniversary. The president also detailing new funding plans for renovations as the White House touts progress in its ongoing crackdown on crime. We now go live to NTD's Mari Otsu at the White House. Mari, good afternoon. What is the latest from the president's Oval Office announcement?
Good afternoon to you, Don. Yeah, just moments ago in the Oval Office, President Trump is announcing that the 2026 World Cup soccer tournament will be taking place on December 5th at D.C.'s Kennedy Center. Take a look.
It's a tremendous honor to bring the global event and this incredible group of people and these unbelievable athletes, the best athletes in the world, to the cultural center of our nation's capital. I just left the Kennedy Center. We're spending a lot of money wisely on making it really beautiful. It's going to be beautiful again. It's like Washington, D.C.
This is part of a much larger, comprehensive beautification effort in preparation for America's 250th birthday next year. Just last night, in an outing with the National Guard troops and police, President Trump said that he will be renovating D.C. parks and green spaces, saying that these are in efforts to make the city safer and cleaner. And this morning, the president is saying that he plans to raise funds from Congress for this revamping. Take a listen.
We're going to be raising about $2 billion from Congress, and Congress is happy to do it. And we're going to wisely spend the money. We're doing it with Clark Construction. We're going to head out right from the Capitol and the White House, and if you look at a circle and go about 3 miles out, it's going to be beautiful.
President Trump adds that he has already spoken to Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune about getting the money to beautify the city. He's saying there will be no problem getting the money from Congress and predicts it'll even be bipartisan. The president is declaring these beautification efforts in the same breath as the D.C. crime crackdown. The White House announcing today that there have been 719 arrests and 91 illegal guns seized in D.C. since the crackdown began. Don, back to you.
All right, Mari, thank you very much. The Kremlin says no meeting is planned between the presidents of Russia and Ukraine. That's despite ongoing efforts by President Trump, who today acknowledged that setting up direct talks is no easy task. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pavzdar has the latest on the peace efforts.
Well, we'll see. We're going to see if Putin and Zelensky will be working together. You know, that's like oil and vinegar, a little bit. They don't get along too well.
President Trump on Friday pointing at the difficulty of setting up talks between Russia and Ukraine. Throughout the week, global leaders talked about a possible trilateral meeting, but plans might be changing.
We'll see, and then we'll see whether or not I would have to be there. I'd rather not. I'd rather have them have a meeting and see how they can do. But in the meantime, they continue to fight and they continue to kill people.
Meanwhile, Moscow reiterates that a meeting only makes sense once the presidents agree on the details of a possible peace deal. Russia's foreign minister tells NBC that Moscow doesn't favor direct talks at this stage.
Putin is ready to meet with Zelensky when the agenda would be ready for a summit. And this agenda is not ready at all.
But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky doesn't agree. He says Russia is just trying to buy time.
The Russians are trying to do anything to avoid the meeting. The issue is not the meeting itself. The issue is that they do not want to end the war.
Russia's foreign minister also pointed to the fact that Zelensky has not been re-elected yet. His term has been extended due to the ongoing war and martial law. Ukraine rejects this claim, citing the country's constitution, which says Zelensky should remain in office while the war continues. Arian Pavzdar, NTD News.
Israel is disputing a new report that says famine has struck Gaza. An international food security panel reported that nearly 515,000 people in Gaza, about a quarter of the population, are experiencing famine, and that the number is expected to rise. According to the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, or IPC, a famine is declared when at least 20% of a population faces extreme food shortages, and at least 2 out of every 10,000 people die each day from starvation, malnutrition, or related disease. Israel's foreign ministry rejected the findings, saying that conditions in Gaza do not meet the IPC's own standards. The ministry said the organization had altered its usual thresholds and overlooked mortality rates. It added that more than 100,000 aid trucks have entered Gaza since the start of the war, and that recent deliveries have increased food supplies and reduced market prices. France is preparing for a major protest on September 10th. A movement bringing together citizens, associations, and unions is called for a general strike against government austerity, raising prices, and new budget cuts. NTD international correspondent David Vivez reports from Paris.
On September 10th, France could face its most disruptive protest movement since the Yellow Vest. A collective called Block Everything has called for a general strike and massive blockades across the country against Prime Minister's new austerity program, which include the scrapping of 2 public holidays and massive investment in renewables that might impact French electricity bills. The call, spread on social media since mid-July, has gathered support from students, teachers, healthcare workers and former Yellow Vests. Public transport, schools and public services in Paris and in France could be severely disrupted, with boycotts and bank withdrawals also planned.
I think most people are upset. For example, when we see France is giving so much money to Ukraine when there are already so many problems in France. Actually, I feel that people in France really don't support our government, especially the general population. And we have major issues, such as the lack of security.
Purchasing power, pensions, salaries, none of that is increasing. And everything else is increasing. Electricity is increasing. Insurance is increasing. Health insurance is increasing. Everything is increasing. It's clear that purchasing power is decreasing. But people are having a hard time with that, especially since we used to have high purchasing power 20 to 40 years ago.
So it seems to me that there's a lot of anger toward our government. It's quite strong. People feel unsafe. They feel they're not being listened to. We're all alone. We're in a mess. We're alone in everything. We're alone in everything.
In addition to the public mobilization, political parties are also stepping in. The stakes are as political as they're economic, with Prime Minister weakened government likely to face new no-confidence votes from both the left in Parliament and the National Rally. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
A U.S. Navy sailor has been convicted of espionage for selling military secrets to a Chinese intelligence officer. Prosecutors say Jin Chao-wei leaked photographs, ship movements, and weapons details from the USS Essex. A jury found him guilty on 6 counts, including conspiracy to commit espionage and unlawful export of defense data. Officials say in 2022, a Chinese officer posing as a naval enthusiast contacted Wei. Over 18 months, he sent the officer restricted data and was paid more than $12,000. Wei is scheduled to be sentenced in December. China's regime leader Xi Jinping returned to Beijing today after his second ever visit to Tibet. It was his most high-profile appearance in months, with lavish receptions and red carpets. Now, are these lavish displays just for show? Chinese experts point to the unusual signs in Xi's visit.
In recent months, speculation about Xi Jinping's waning power has been mounting. Observers noted purges of his loyalists, a shrinking personal guard, and surprisingly less coverage in state-run media. But everything seemed to change overnight. Xi made an extravagant appearance in Tibet on Wednesday, waving to state-run media cameras. The event marked the 60th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party's takeover of the Himalayan territory. Almost no Western media were allowed to cover it firsthand. Major outlets like BBC and CNN relied on photos from Beijing, while others used images of Tibet's landscapes. What's more, analysts noticed something unusual. Chinese regime leaders often dye their hair black, but this time Xi appeared with noticeably graying hair. Analyst Jiang Feng says the change could carry a deeper message.
And the CCP's political context, leaders appearing in public with dyed hair is a political convention, much like how they dress. It signals vigor, health, and control of power. But this convention has recently been broken.
Xi Jinping also visited Chinese troops in Tibet, but senior military leaders, including the second-in-command of the Chinese military and the commander of the Tibet theater, both skipped the event. Under typical CCP protocol, such top officials are expected to accompany the head of state. This marks the 3rd time the second-ranking military leader, Zhang Youxia, has skipped Xi's military visits. Zhang is widely seen as a top opponent of Xi. Footage from Chinese state broadcasters shows Xi flanked only by lower-ranking disciplinary officials. Tang Jingyuan, a senior China affairs analyst, weighs in.
Not only was the arrangement far too low in rank, it was completely mismatched. When the head of China's military inspects troops, those accompanying him should be military commanders or senior political officers.
On top of that, a candidate favored by the anti-Xi faction, once nearly pushed to the margins of the regime, was also among the delegation to Tibet. Analysts say such a move would be unlikely if Xi still maintained a tight grip on power.
Over to the Indo-Pacific, the Philippines and Australia said today they're working towards a new defense agreement they will sign next year. Both nations seek to step up military cooperation to deal with shared security challenges in the region. Here's more.
We are both countries which are deeply invested in the rules-based order.
The activities of China in any area, whether in the
Sierra Madre or any area under their nebulous claims are a matter not only of concern but of condemnation, because these are in gross violations of international law.
And we both acknowledge and are experiencing the pressure that the rules-based order is being placed under here in the Indo-Pacific.
China professes to want dialogue and negotiation. There is a deficit of trust that they need to overcome. And with these activities that have been happening, that deficit has widened more than lessened.
The Philippines says the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Pact will pave the way for more frequent joint military drills aimed at beefing up joint operational capability and strengthening regional deterrence. Australia says the agreement will also support the development of defense infrastructure in the Philippines, with projects planned at 5 locations. Security engagements between the two allies have deepened as they look to counter China's increasingly aggressive activities in the South China Sea. A breakthrough technology is transforming how steel structures are built, and a smart portable device that uses AI and GPS is helping quickly to detect underground water leaks. Daniel Monahan spoke with the company eTree about a pair of Edison Award-winning technologies that are making the future more efficient and sustainable.
eTree and Taiwan Mask Corporation won silver at the 2025 Edison Awards for low-carbon laser H-beam welding that could transform steel construction. eTree Southern Region Campus General Director Fang Hui Cao said it all began with a request from a person in the semiconductor industry.
He wants to expand his manufacturing factory quickly during the COVID-19 era, okay?
There was a big demand for semiconductor chips at the time, but a 2-year production backlog for the steel structures needed to expand the factory.
And that guy said, this is not possible. This is just 3 pieces of metal binding together. How difficult can it be? That's his thinking. And then he came to us and then asked if we can do something about it. He gave us a few pieces for us to test, just to try to see if we can do it right, before he actually do the investment.
After providing a couple of samples, the project was given the green light.
So in 3 years, we come up with this technology, and actually it's already in production.
The cutting-edge technology provides a fully automatic H-beam welding process, combining laser welding with automatic welding and unloading, slashing the labor costs of traditional arc welding, speeding up output, and eliminating the need for extra finishing work.
If you use laser welding in our method, you actually increase the production line capacity by fivefolds, okay? And then you save about 85% of energy. So that translate into electricity bills.
The technology also reduces pollution and benefits the steel industry.
I think in the future, we will be more audacious in taking on things that seems to be impossible. And we'll probably be less afraid of failure.
That wasn't all for 2025. eTree won 6 other Edisons, including a gold for its Smart Aqua Leak Finder. The Smart Aqua Leak Finder is a portable device that uses AI-driven acoustic technology and GPS-based mapping to detect underground pipeline leaks in just a few seconds. It has 3 basic elements.
First one is acoustic sensors that can receive and collect the sound from the underground piping. And secondly, we have AI-powered and self-learning software, so it can analyze the sound record. And finally, it also combines with the GPS mapping, so we can learn the exact location in very quick time.
Division Director Li Hua Wang says the technology can help save water for places facing water shortages.
By quickly finding and accurately pinpoint these leaks before too much water is wasted. So it also uses the data analysis to identify areas with frequent leaks. So the water company, they can focus repairs where they will have the biggest impact. That means less waste water and the better use of the limited repair resources.
Wang says the technology works wonders in a natural disaster.
In 2022, a big earthquake in Hualien, our technology very quickly found 27 leaks just within days. So thanks to that, repair teams, repair crews, they can fix the broken pipe and get the water supply back up and running very soon.
Other awards E-Tree won at Edison this year include an EV fleet charging solution, Fleet Charger, and a dual-phase hydrogel, which speeds up post-surgical recovery. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Coming up after the break, crowds lined up at a KFC store in the UK to bid farewell to Pauline Richards, known as Miss KFC, who served at the outlet since 1978, making her the world's longest-serving KFC employee. Don't go away for that story.
With almost 4 decades in the spotlight, Cindy Crawford has never lost her stunning glow. With her gorgeous, age-defying skin, US Weekly says, whatever she's doing, it's clearly working. How does her skin still look firm, smooth, and youthful at 59? It's meaningful beauty. And now, with new advanced formulas, it's better than ever, delivering our age-defying ingredients even deeper into the skin to fight wrinkles where they begin. Just wait until you see the difference meaningful beauty can make for you.
Instant hydration, instant plumping. My skin looks amazing.
What I'm most proud of is over 5 million women have trusted Meaningful Beauty, and they're getting great results, and I get that feedback from them in airports, supermarkets, walking down the street, and I love it.
And today, we are celebrating 20 years of Meaningful Beauty with a brand new offer you don't want to miss. You can get the entire advanced Meaningful Beauty system with all 5 age-defying super treatments. And when you order today, you'll receive our Targeted Treatment Duo, a $128 value free. Introducing the Wrinkle Smoothing Capsules to target crow's feet, forehead lines, and lines around your mouth. Plus, you'll also get the new Skin Renewing Facial Tool with heat, massage, and red light to boost the absorption of the wrinkle smoothing capsules and reduce the appearance of puffiness. The Skin Renewing Facial Tool and the Wrinkle Smoothing Capsules together create Meaningful Beauty's amazing targeted treatment duo.
This plus this equals incredible results.
Get all this, a $300 value, for just $49.95. But you must act quickly. Results guaranteed or your money back.
If you haven't tried Meaningful Beauty yet, this new offer is something you don't want to miss.
This special offer is not available in any store, so don't wait. Scan the code, call the number below, or go to meaningfulbeauty.com right now.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
They're just young people, hungry, homeless, and vulnerable. Covenant House is helping young adults facing homelessness. We're providing safe shelter to thousands, but the need is overwhelming. Please call or go online now. With your gift of $19 a month, we'll send you this blanket as a reminder of the comfort your gift provides a young person tonight. You'll provide safe shelter, hot meals, and medical care. Call the number on your screen or go online to safeplacetosleep.org.
A small English town turned out to bid farewell to the longest-serving KFC employee, Pauline Richards. Richards, who began working at the fast food chain in 1978, died last month at the age of 74 after a battle with cancer, having served at KFC for 47 years. Her funeral procession in the town of Taunton passed the branch where she worked. Local residents paid tribute, calling her an icon for the town and a smashing lady whom everybody liked.
I just felt, my children were babies and they've grown up and come in here in Kentucky
and she's always, you know, had time for him, even though she was very busy, and she's just an icon of the town. And I've lived here all my life, and I think she deserves a turnout.
We have been coming probably since the 70s.
After the clubs or whatever, go down, get a KFC, see Pauline, have a good bit of banter with her, you know. Yeah. And then obviously our children have done it the same when it's moved up here, you know. Yeah. Doing the same thing, so they all know her. Yeah. She's just a, you know, total icon for the town.
She was the friendliest lady. She was very, very helpful. Just a smashing lady. I think everybody liked her.
I bumped into her years ago. She said, Ronnie, I remember you from the 70s. You'd crawl in from the night. I used to go to discotheques and nightclubs, all your girlfriends giggling with your KFC for your supper. So, yeah, we're all here to remember her and to bid her farewell.
In a BBC interview in February, Richards said she never tired of fried chicken and chips.
Customers, they're very friendly here. The management always look after me, and I just think it's great here. It keeps you fit and keeps your marbles going. Yeah.
What's your favourite order?
Zinger burgers.
Why that?
That bit of spice. Got that little zinger. Yes, I love it. But when mashed potato and gravy.
When you get home in an evening, you're like, oh, I don't want to see any more fried chicken or any more chips.
Never ever said that. Never. No.
A sweet surprise. Still photographs captured a bear behind the counter of an ice cream shop in El Dorado. The El Dorado County Sheriff's Office said deputies were called to the scene and discovered the furry intruder inside. In a statement on social media, the Sheriff's Office said the bear caused little damage and eventually wandered off after showing interest in strawberry ice cream. The incident happened last Sunday. Coming up soon, the Trump administration pushes for the U.S. to compete with China and establish military drone technology dominance. We have that and more when we come back from the break.
This land, our America, built on hard work, determination, and grit. Sometimes the days run long, but hope, it never runs out, even when the food does, for America's veterans, working parents, even kids. Because in every corner of every town, even yours, millions of hard-working neighbors are facing a hunger crisis, many for the very first time. In this land of plenty, affording food shouldn't require second jobs and third shifts or choosing between your groceries and bills. Today, you can help change that. Call or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, less than 63 cents a day, to help every neighbor get the food they urgently need. Because taking care of each other is what makes America strong. We're Feeding America, not just a name, but an action. Working with over 200 local food banks like the ones in your community, and demand is soaring.
You go to the grocery store, you spend $100, and $100 is a new $20 bill.
Even with 2 full-time jobs, it's hard to make ends meet.
These are tough times, but when we stand together, we become the very best of a strong America. Please call or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org. Just $19 a month can feed a family today, and your first gift can double an impact. Plus, we'll send you this free canvas bag as a reminder of the hope you're delivering.
When it comes down to it, it's about taking care of your family first and the loved ones that you need to provide for.
Because you're not just giving food, you're fueling resilience for people across the nation. You're feeding America. Call or go online today to helpfeedingamerica.org, and your gift can double an impact.
Hi, I'm Ty Pennington, here for Choice Home Warranty. They protect my home from expensive repairs, and they can do the same for you. No matter if it's your refrigerator, plumbing, or more than 20 other home systems and appliances, Choice Home Warranty has saved millions of homeowners a whole lot of money. For a low monthly fee, you get their nationwide network of trusted